Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video, we're going to make a lock for a thick wooden door. The overview of what's happening is they've got an unusually thick door. I think it's 4-inch. So the question becomes is, how do you lock that door? So at the end of the day, there are not a lot of inexpensive options. There are expensive options. And the easiest and most robust is most certainly going to be a mortise lock. This job is outside of the envelope of what's commercially available, and that's the whole purpose of this video, what we're doing to make a lock for this door. Okay, so the reason that the welding is important, it has to be strong. It can't snap on the client, obviously. But it also needs to be perfectly straight. If the tip of my fingers all the way to my elbow represent a laser beam straight line, when all of that rotates, when the key goes in the rim cylinder and you turn it, you're driving the tailpiece. You're driving it directly. That needs to be utterly straight. Otherwise, the tailpiece moves in a concentric circle. In the back of the rim cylinder, there is a female receiver for the tailpiece. If that's not straight, it's going to bind in the lock set. It's not going to turn really well. So we're going to have to get this clamped down. We're going to have to weld it. If you can learn some basic skill in welding, that's going to be a skill that you can use for your entire life. Welding is more like art, in fact, but it's kind of like knowing how locksmithing works. If you need to rekey the locks at your house, you can do that yourself. Welding is a really great skill to have, but it's a confluence. It's a balance of enough heat to penetrate when you're welding, not too much heat so as to deform the metal or vaporize it altogether. You're throwing about 1800 degree Fahrenheit at it. This metal is not very thick. It's also zinc dichromate for corrosion resistance. That's certainly a toxin. If you're going to be breathing that in when you're welding, you've got to have the proper safety equipment. Not only a shield, the ultraviolet that's giving off. You never want to be around welding without being covered because you're getting intense amount of sunlight, face, arms, neck, the whole 9 yards. And when you're comfortable and you've got the right safety setup is when you can focus on just the job that you're doing. So we're going to see what's going to happen. We're going to move to machine setup of the Miller. I think it's a 135 is my tool. I've owned many of these. It's the tool that I like. It's not too expensive, but it's good enough to be industry quality. We're going to use flux core wire. I'm not running any gas. It's just going to be the catalyst is going to be in the wire itself. The flux is what it is. We're going to go through the rest of the equipment. We're going to go through the setup of how I'll fixture the material down, and we'll continue on with this process. And at the end, we sure hope that we're going to have a welded tailpiece and a cylinder that's going to work perfectly and be strong. Let's move on to machine setup.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it.
Okay, so the next step in this project is to get my welding equipment set up, and we're going to start with putting together the Miller 141 that I have right here, and I'm going to lift it up and bring it up here, and we're going to take a look at it. We're going to go through the steps of putting that all together. Going to move my stuff aside here. Got a little workbench here with a piece of steel that I'm going to weld my tail pieces together, and let's do that. Owner's manual, we're definitely going to jump into that. Yeah, flux cord. That's what we're doing. We're doing flux core welding. What that means is I'm not going to have a tank of gas. That does, in my experience and what I've been told, and the opinion of people who do a lot more welding than I've ever done, give a cleaner weld. It's just for the work that we're doing, a flux core MIG wire is going to be perfect. Safety precautions, foreign language, definitions, specifications, selecting a location. We're going to need to start here with installation, then operation. Hopefully not any troubleshooting. So let's jump right to page 11. I've taken welding class, I may have mentioned, and I'm comfortable with my level of understanding of how this all works. Rated welding output, amperage range, single phase. Okay, that's fine. We can't pull more than 20 amps to it. We're going to do flux core 30 thousandths, and I've got 30 thousandths flux core wire. I don't know what this, yeah, this is not flux core wire. That's going to require flux cord. 35 thousandths. Well, that's okay, but I thought I ordered 30 thousandths. Will our machine take it? Yes, thankfully. The issue is I don't know if the welding tips I have are going to work. I believe they're 35 thousandths, or 30 thousandths. Yeah, that's an issue. So that's not going to work. The tip is what goes on the end of the lead, and I don't have the right tips for this gauge wire. I ordered 30 thousandths wire. They shipped me 35 thousandths. That's an issue. So I either get a new roll of wire, or I get different tips. And I don't see any tips in here. Well, there are two. I don't know what size they are. Probably just 30 thousandths. 30 thousandths is a reference to the diameter of the hole in the tip. That's 30, and that's 30. Okay. So let's take a look and see if the old home ammo dump's going to have something for us. Okay, yeah, they've got 35 thousandths tips in stock. We're going to need to take a ride over there. Then also what I wanted to do was, we'll have to see what clamps they have. Okay, so we know that they've got the tips. That's not the end of the world. The clamps, what I fully intend to do here is to take this piece of steel, lay my two tail pieces down and clamp them down. The problem is, these are meant for 2.5 inch. And apparently the steel is just a little heavy. So I don't really need the piece of steel to weld to. It's just I wanted a level surface. Anyway, we'll take a look and see what we can do. Let's move into the installation instructions just a little bit more. Installation. Let's do this one step at a time.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it.
Here is our torch or our lead. Right on. Okay. I'm going to take out of this bag what I think I'm going to need. I'm not going to need that hose. That strap I won't need. I won't need the regulator. The grounding clamp we're for sure going to need. This is going to be a wire gauge. We'll leave it in here for right now. So the regulator, the instructions for that, the strap, this would go around the cylinder. I'm quite sure is what this is intended for. A Velcro strap, we can put that to good use. This is a hose for the gas. We're not running gas. 35,000 wire we're going to need. And the grounding clamp cable must be already attached to the machine. So let's move all this aside. Gloves, I bought these because I didn't actually, you know, you can use gloves to weld, but you're going to wish that you hadn't, most likely, if you touch something. The welding gloves are meant to really kind of take the heat for the small amount of time that you'll be exposed to it. Thankfully, it's not epically heavy. Yeah, pretty. Look at that. Spin it around and take a look what's under the hood, obviously. Oh yeah. Yeah, easy peasy. Easy stuff. Okay. We're seeing how that's going to kind of go together. That's no problem. Cable. Stop. Protect your investment. Absolutely. There's our serial number right there. Material thickness. Well, that's nice. Boy, they didn't have these settings when I was learning how to do this, blowing through material. That's awfully nice. Wire speed. Grounding clamp. Line disconnect device too. Yeah, you're okay, sure. Your locate unit near correct input power supply. I've got that. Meaning proper circuit, proper valve.
For 120 volts AC power, a 20 amp individual circuit protected by a time delay fuse or circuit breaker is required. Plug from the unit, and then your wall outlet. That's no problem. I'll have it. I've got my circuits here are 20 amps, at least 20 amps. Electrical profile, I'm not concerned with any of this. We're plugging in at 120 volts. Okay, installing the work clamp, that's number one. All of this is obviously put together. Tighten connection hardware with proper tools. Do not just hand tighten hardware. A loose electrical connection will cause poor weld performance and excessive heating of the work clamp. Yes, absolutely. It's the same as if there's a short in a line. Well, no. It's the same as if you have the conditions that will lead up to a short. If you don't have everything tightened together and complete and full contact between your metal pieces, the circuit is not really complete in the sense that electrons don't flow as freely as possible. So if I take this and I clamp this here just hand tight, it's going to wobble around. My electrons won't flow. It's going to cause the welder not to work right. Plus, think about sucking a milkshake through a tiny straw that's meant for a cocktail. If you really pull on that, you might get a little lightheaded. Same thing happening when you don't make proper full connections. You're trying to pull more through something than it's meant to, and something strains. And in electrical conditions, it will cause excessive heating. That can lead to a short. All right, so anyway, route work cable through hole and clamp handle. Secure cable with hardware as shown. Ah, okay, right here. All right, so I'm going to liberate the grounding clamp cable from the machine. And I know that I've mentioned it, but welding class, I graduated high school, went to college for a couple of years. I then joined the family business. Went back, I re-enrolled, well, I was already enrolled, in the community college. I went to a community college and then a 4-year school. Frankly, I found the 4-year school harder than the, the community college harder in terms of demands than the 4-year school. Anyway, so I went back to that community school because they offered welding. And everything I know about welding was learned initially there, and then of course vaporizing metal. It's a very, very good life skill. Very good life skill. And on that wire diameter, I simply may have ordered the wrong wire diameter as well. I don't know what I did really, but we'll figure it out. I don't like that. It's fine. Fine the way it is. Okay, so we've got our work lead. Is it fine the way it is? The issue is I don't have a long enough socket to get in there. Maybe when I take a run down to Home Depot, I will figure out what socket I need so I can pull that cable out a little bit flatter. There's nothing wrong with the way that it is right now. I just don't want that loop around, so we'll see what we can come up with on that. Okay, so it's telling us to come, up through here and then to here. So putting it the way that it's shown in the instructions, it would be just like this. So they want this all the way down to the bare metal. Star washer comes off, washer comes off. We're going to flip that over. Okay, flat washer, star washer. It's a grounding clamp. Well, we're not leaving it hand tight, so let's get our wrench. Crescent wrench will be fine for this. I happen to have one right on the CNC. I'm installing a computer up in the ceiling so I can make videos of the machine actually working, which will be fun.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it.
All right. And we're going to go make that run when we get to a point where we're going to need those parts. I like to put those stops to the end because I never know what I'm going to actually end up needing again. 35 tips, 3-way clamps. Want to look for a bench grinder, just something cheap and easy. Okay. All right. Steel plate. Okay. We'll continue setting up our machine here. Installing work clamp. We've got the work clamp installed. Generally, this would be hooked onto the rolling cart, but again, I can't find my rolling cart, so we'll just stick it there, get it out of the way. Work cable routing inside unit. Yeah, your work lead. Your ground lead and your work lead. Okay. Long reach sockets. Work cable, output terminal block. Work cable. That's our work lead, our work lead, and our ground clamp. Our ground, I don't know that I'd call that a lead. I'd call it maybe a return. Okay. We're calling the ground clamp and its lead the work lead. That actually makes sense. So we've got the work lead routed. It came from the factory already bolted to the terminal block, output terminal block. Polarity. Okay. Really important on this page. Process polarity table. We're doing flux core. Flux cored welding. FCAW, right there. Polarity table, FCAW. Straight polarity. Connect to negative terminal. Cable to gun, cable to work. Connect to positive output terminal. So we've got two terminals here. There's one positive and one negative. So we've got to go positive to our output terminal. So our work lead, yeah, cable to gun. They're calling this gun. This is our work lead. So we've got to have a positive going here. And it's here, but I don't see where it's indicated on it what it is. Let's see if we can get some more light on it. I don't see it indicated, so that's okay. I'm not worried about that. We're going to need sockets, though, for sure. Yeah, our gun's going to come here. Okay. Negative. Flux core. I got to flip these, I think. From the block to the negative is the short wire. Yeah, I've got to flip them. This is wired from the factory for gas welding, not for flux core. So I've got to switch these around. The issue is, right now I need a socket set.
Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.